That was over immigration and voting rights laws are some of the hottest topics in America right now. And today, best-selling author and justice correspondent for The Nation, Elie Mystal, is telling us why they all made the list in his new book, Bad Law, 10 popular laws that are ruining America. Welcome back, Elie Mystal. So, you know, given there's so much to pick from, what was it about these 10 that solidified it for you?
Yeah, so I set out to start to kind of try to write Project 2029, right? When Republicans come into office, they come in with a sledgehammer, right? They come in smashing things that I hold dear. When Democrats come into office, they come in with like super glue and tape. And so they try to put things back together. So I thought about writing 10 constitutional amendments that'd be super cool if we had. But I was like, no. We need to smash the things that they like. We need to smash the things that are holding this country back. And so I came up with 10 laws that we could just be rid of. Not reform, not update for the modern era. 10 things that we can smash if we ever are allowed to get power again that would make this country better tomorrow.
See? Now, I love this book. You are dead on, and it is a fantastic book. One of the laws you write about is playing out right now, the Immigration and Nationality Act. Now, this administration is using this statute to justify the detentions and possible deportations, actually, of Visa and Green Card holders who they seem to deem a threat to U.S. foreign policy. What do you make of the administration's use of the act? And more broadly, is Trump really setting up a First Amendment showdown, which is what Whoopi's been talking about?
Yes, absolutely. One of my premises for the book is that every law passed before the 1965 Voting Rights Act should be presumptively unconstitutional, right? But because before the 1965 Voting Rights Act, we were functionally an apartheid country. Not everybody who lived here could vote here. So why should I give about some law that some old white man passed in the 1920s, like the Immigration and Nationality Act? When they passed our fundamental immigration law, Congress said in real time that they needed the law to prevent the, quote, mongrelization of the white race by the inferior races. Now I look at that law and I say, I don't think that's so good. I don't think we should still be using it, but we are still using it today. That is the authority that Trump is using to criminalize people and to pull people's Visa cards. Marco Rubio, that comes from the 1956 update to the 1921 Act. Now, I personally do not think that I can convince people to open their hearts and minds to immigration. I understand that in our failing country, treating people with respect and decency and humanity is a controversial position. And I cannot change their minds. But we can dang sure make sure that we're not putting people in jail for the crime of existing. That we're not putting people in jail for the crime of not filling out the form in triplicate in the right time and submitting it to the right agent. Criminal immigration status offenses should not be criminal offenses. They should be civil offenses. We shouldn't be ripping people away from their families because they didn't fill out the paperwork correctly.
Alyssa, you got it.
Yeah, Elie, so congrats on the book, and I weirdly read the epilogue first, and what I was struck by, what you and I agreed on, well, we may disagree on some of the issues in the law, you did lay out a bunch of solutions. One of them is adding more seats to the House of Representatives, but you acknowledge those are really hard things to do. That's not something that I think either of us expect is going to happen in the next decade. So what do you see as sort of the marginal changes that are actually really tangible and realistic that could be put in place in the next few years?
I argue that we should eliminate all voter registration laws. Now, that might not sound realistic to you, but I promise you that it is, because we already have voter eligibility requirements, right? An eligibility requirement would be like an age limit, right? 18 to vote, I might say you should be 16, but I'm not gonna say 8. I've got an 8-year-old who does knock, but I've got an 8-year-old, right? We don't want them voting. But once you meet the eligibility requirement, why can't you automatically be registered to vote?
That's right.
Having the second step of voter registration needlessly suppresses the votes for no real benefit. Some people might say like, oh, it prevents voter fraud. First of all, no, it doesn't. Second of all, voter fraud doesn't exist. Right? If I say I want to go fishing somewhere, and you say, you can't go fishing there. I say, why? Because the Loch Ness Monster might get you. Like that. That's shut up. That's not a good reason to have a law. right? Let's get rid of that, right? So I think that if we open up the aperture to voting to more people, to get some of those 90 million people who stayed home on the couch, to get them to have easier access to the ballot, I think some of these larger changes that I talk in the book.
But they don't want that on that side. They don't want that.
It's funny, you know what they do want though?
Yeah.
They want voter ID.
Yeah.
They're all hot for voter ID as the thing that is gonna like secure the election. So I say, if voter ID is so important to you, if you think that that's what it takes to secure an election, let's make a trade.
Can I ask one follow-up?
You get
Good luck.
you get voter ID, and I get mandatory automatic registration. Who says no? And I promise you, it's the Republicans that say no because they don't want more people voting.
That's
It's
right.
not about security. They don't want more people voting.
Good.
Oh, I was just going to say, so some countries automatically at a certain age register you to vote. Would you be in support of just universal, you turn 18 and are registered?
Not just some countries, most countries that are not us either have automatic registration, mandatory registration, where you pay a fine if
you
you're not
don't.
registered,
Yep.
or same-day registration. Pick one. There are lots of democracies out there. Pick one. We do it the dumbest way.
How's your blood pressure?
Always high.
So
He's fighting for the
And we
world.
having him
Yeah, I
back
know.
tomorrow? What's happening with this? Is he coming back tomorrow?
Cory Booker needs to come back tomorrow because he's the one who's fighting.
Corey's busy right now.
Right, he's the one who's
He's
fighting.
busy right now.
We're
He's
trying to
still
get-
talking. But
Yeah.
our thanks to Elie Mystal. His book, Bad Law, 10 Popular Laws That Are Ruining America, is out now. You can shop his book by scanning the QR code on the screen. And you know what? You're such a good bunch of folks in the audience.